Hello, it's Joel Pelletier, John Paul Joel, or whatever. Just here to kind of play a little bit and show off for the first time through an amp the new bass that I just finished building. I call this one my 62 JPJ Tribute, trying to match as close as possible to John Paul Jones' original 1962 jazz bass that he played through at least through the mid-70s with Led Zeppelin and toured with Led Zeppelin. Here we go. It's a beautiful sunburst jazz bass type. There's, what is there? For actual Fender parts, there's a Fender. These are the original 60, they call them original 62 Alnico 2 pickups. Later on they moved to Alnico 5, which are a little brighter. I wanted something that was as warm as possible and as much as possible matching John Paul Jones's bass, and this would have been the pickups just like they would have had in his bass that he bought new in 62 or 63 or whenever that was, and has owned ever since. What else is Fender on here? I don't know, maybe I'll think of something. I've got an original style bridge with threaded saddles to help line up the strings if necessary. A 62 style aftermarket pickguard. The electronics are all really good CTS pots and nice thick cap. Plus I've got treble bleed cap and resistors on the volume, both volume controls. Can't really tell if it makes any difference or not. Supposedly when you turn it down, it'll still stay just as bright. But the purpose of this instrument is not to be particularly bright anyway, so that, I don't know, whatever, I just tried to do it as original. The tuners are fantastic. They're hip shot, but they're the classic style from the 50s through the early 60s and mid 60s, classic style reverse wound tuners. Not my favorite, but it is what it is. They made these for me with slightly longer arms on here, see, so that the clover sticks out just a little bit more, like the original ones did. It even has the redundant, they call it the hootenanny strap thing here. For some bass players that wanted to play it more in this position, standing up, they would attach the strap to the back of the head. No one does that, but that's what was on it. And if you look at the photos, you can see that's on his. Another thing you can see that's on John Paul Jones's bass are the holes for the original bridge and pickup covers and the original mutes. So I put them on here as well. You can kind of see those maybe in the photo. I did not actually install them. I do have them, but I didn't install them. I have mutes on one bass, and it definitely mutes it. Most players by the mid to late 60s had removed all of those anyway because they wanted a slightly brighter sound, a little bit more sustained. They wanted to cut a little bit more with the band. Remember, the jazz bass was originally invented to sound like an upright bass with not a lot of sustain, but a lot of thumpy kind of thing. The last thing that I did last night was I put on a set of Tomastics. I believe this is 100 to 42 gauge. These are basically spiracores, like they put on upright basses. And boy, do they feel good, and boy, are they nice, and I know why they cost $100 and whatever dollars. They gave me this set, but I would have paid for them if I needed to because they are outstanding. The action on this thing is phenomenal. This neck is a WD licensed neck, which means it's at least American materials. It might have been made in Japan, but it's American materials. This one has an ebony fingerboard. This is the only bass I'm aware of that I have with an ebony fingerboard. It makes everything a little stiffer and a little heavier. This bass now, the balance, the first neck that I put on this bass last month was a Chinese-made neck that had the head so off kilter that the strings weren't straight in here, going back down through the nut. But it had a very nice rosewood fingerboard with some very nice grain in it that was beautiful. And the neck was a little lighter and a little more resonant, I think. To me, the resonance of an instrument is how the body and the neck communicate with each other. And I believe that it did a very good job of that. So I've since removed that neck, and I've cut up the head, and I posted stuff on Facebook about it. And I'm reshaping the head so it's a proper dimension and the proper angle off the head. And I'll use that on a different bass. But this one, I've got ebony, and you know, from all the photos of John Paul Jones's bass, I think it could be ebony. It looks very dark and very uniform, like an ebony fingerboard versus a rosewood fingerboard, although in the 60s they had rosewood that was pretty clean without, without the different colorations and stuff that you would see on it. The only thing I have left to do on this bass, for me to be very, very happy, is I'm going to remake they call it the tug bar. It's not a thumb rest. People back in the 60s, they also thought you would play it this way. You put your hand here, your finger under it, and you go. You play it like that. You occasionally see someone playing it like that in old videos, but nobody really does that. And in the 70s, they started moving these up above here when you needed them, but I find there's enough going on the side of the pick guard for my thumb to rest on. You can always rest your thumb on the top of the neck pickup as well. So I'm going to be making an ebony tug bar, ebony to match the ebony fingerboard. I have a nice piece of ebony that I ordered that I'll be cutting up later today. So otherwise, that's the bass. Now, how does it sound? You tell me. Treble up all the way. I want to keep it at like 9 o'clock instead of 12 o'clock versus open. Got a little bit more brightness on it. I've got some coloration on the preamp I'm using and the amp that I'm using, but I think you really get the idea of the fullness of the tone. See if it gives it to me without a commercial. That would be nice. Come on. Super happy with this bass. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. And someday, when this whole COVID thing is over, you know, in the next year or so, or 3, whatever, I look forward to playing this with one of the many Zeppelin bands that I play with. So next I'll be recording a video showcasing the differences between all of my Sunburst Jazzes, because I'm up to this many, and no more, but that's it, this many, and they're all very different. So I'll bring them out and we'll play the differences. Thanks.